The night the blood moon rose over the village of Umuohia, the air crackled with ancient energy. It was the first time in 70 years that the red eye of the sky had opened fully above the land. Elders muttered old chants under their breath, children were kept indoors, and even the animals quieted, sensing the return of something older than time itself. But Ngozi, the village dancer, did not fear it. She moved like wind through tall grass, her bare feet stamping the dust with purpose, her arms reaching skyward in silent invitation. Ngozi danced alone in the village square, her white beads clashing with every movement. Her skin glowed like bronze under the blood-tinged moonlight. She felt something stir in the air, something powerful and watching. Yet she did not stop. The drums had long ceased, but her heartbeat became the rhythm. She spun until she collapsed onto the earth, chest heaving, her eyes wide with ecstasy and exhaustion. As she lay beneath the open sky, the moon pulsed once, then everything went dark. When Ngozi awoke the next morning, a strange warmth pulsed in her lower belly. She staggered home, her body sore but her spirit oddly serene. The village whispered of her defiance, but no one dared speak openly. She bathed in silence, ate little, and avoided her friends. But days later, when her belly swelled ever so slightly, panic set in. She had not known a man in over a year. The midwives whispered among themselves. No illness explained the change. One of them, old Mama Is, gasped and made the sign of the sacred moon goddess. This one, she said, trembling, has been touched by something not of this world. Ngozi tried to dismiss Mama Isa's words, but that night, as she lay under her raffia roof, the wind whispered through the cracks like a voice calling her name. Her belly tingled where the warmth had first settled. She placed her hand there and gasped, it pulsed back beneath her palm. It was not a kick. It was a heartbeat. And it was too early for such signs, if it were a normal pregnancy. The dreams began that night. In them, she stood beneath the blood moon again, but this time she was not alone. A figure cloaked in silver light watched from the shadows, neither male nor female, its eyes glowing with the same red hue as the moon. You carry the moon's seed, it said. It will change everything. She tried to ask what it meant, but her voice would not come. She awoke with tears on her face and a strange taste in her mouth, like cold iron and crushed hibiscus. As the moons passed, the village began to notice Ngozi's swelling belly. Women gave her space in the market and men averted their eyes. Children pointed and whispered, "She's carrying the moon." The chief priest of Ani, the Earth Mother, summoned her to the shrine. Ngozi, trembling, obeyed. Inside the shrine, the walls were painted with spirals of ochre and charcoal, the symbols of fertility, death, and rebirth. The priest, robed in bark and feathers, sniffed the air around her. "You were not meant to be chosen," he hissed. "The moon and earth are not allies." He warned that her child would be hunted by the guardians of balance, ancient spirits sworn to keep harmony between realms. "You have broken the pact." Ngozi fled the shrine with her heart pounding. That night, thunder cracked across the sky without rain. Her womb glowed faintly in the dark. Whatever grew inside her was not human, and it was watching the world already. In the fourth moon of her pregnancy, Ngozi noticed a silver mark forming on her navel. It was shaped like a crescent, outlined in faint runes that shimmered only under moonlight. When she traced it with her finger, a song would rise in her throat, a melody too ancient for her to understand, but beautiful beyond words. Elder Nokidi, keeper of village history, came to visit her one evening. He had walked slowly, his staff dragging in the dust. "The mark is not of this world," he said. "It is a sign of covenant. The last time such a thing appeared was in the time of Afa the Sky Mother, whose child caused a river to reverse its flow." He bowed to Ngozi. "You are no longer a woman. You are a vessel." Ngozi wept after he left, not from sadness, but from the unbearable weight of destiny. She missed being ordinary, fetching water, laughing in the market, dancing with reckless abandon. Now even the night seemed to hold its breath around her. On the 7th night of the 5th moon, the Dust Riders came. Clad in leather and bone, they rode horses that didn't neigh but hummed like distant thunder. They were said to be children of the wind, sworn to protect or destroy sacred beings depending on prophecy. When they entered Umuohia, everyone went silent. They didn't speak. They simply pointed at Ngozi's hut. The village chief tried to protest, but one glance from the lead rider silenced him. "We come not to harm," the rider said at last, his voice echoing like a canyon. "But we must test the seed." That night, they surrounded Ngozi's home in a circle of burning herbs. Ngozi stepped out, her belly glowing, then sang the melody that rose unbidden from within. The riders bowed. "It is true. The seed has awakened. The moon's air stars." They left as swiftly as they came, but not before giving Ngozi a warning. "Others will come. Not all will kneel." After the Dust Riders departed, Ngozi's dreams grew more vivid. She found herself walking through endless hills covered in silver grass. At the top of one hill stood a massive gate made of starlight. Behind it, the garden pulsed with power, trees that hummed, rivers that glowed. A voice from behind the gate spoke gently. "Soon you must choose whether this child remains of two worlds or just one." She asked what that meant, but the voice faded. When she awoke, her feet were dusty, as if she had walked through the real hills. Her grandmother, who had gone mad before death, once spoke of the dreaming hills. "It is where gods walk barefoot," she had said. Ngozi knew now her child would not belong to the village alone. She was birthing a bridge between worlds. The oracle of the twin faces came to Umuohia riding a palanquin carried by blind men. Her eyes were covered, her mouth sewn shut. She wrote with charcoal on white cloth, "During the next eclipse, the child must not see the moon, or the world will weep fire." The elders were shaken. An eclipse was only 2 moons away. Mama Is begged Ngozi to leave the village, to hide in the caves beyond the Great Valley. But Ngozi refused. "If the moon gave this child to me, then let the moon see its own." But secretly, fear bloomed in her chest. What if the oracle was right? What if her child was more weapon than miracle? Ngozi fled one night into the sacred forest of Akparu, seeking answers. No one entered Akparu and returned unchanged. It was said that the trees there were older than time, and that spirits whispered through the leaves. As she walked, vines moved from her path. The forest did not resist her. In its center, she found a tree glowing with blue fire. She sat beneath it, and a vision seized her. She saw the child in her womb, eyes glowing like twin moons, raising a hand and stilling a raging sea. Then she saw the same child, older, standing over a field of burning corpses. She screamed awake, her face wet with dew. The forest had shown her 2 futures. The child's path was not set. On the first night of the 7th moon, Ngozi dreamt she was inside her womb. She floated in a sea of light, and across from her, a child floated too, genderless, glowing, watching her with ancient eyes. "What is your name?" she asked. The child smiled and replied, "I am Nkiru." "What is to come?" When she awoke, she whispered the name. The mark on her belly glowed, and the moonlight grew warmer through the thatched roof. Nkiru. A name of promise, and of warning. A council of wandering sages summoned Ngozi to the Hill of Flowers, where only those bearing divine life could walk barefoot. The trial was simple: walk the hill at night and survive the blooming of the moonflowers. These sacred plants released a scent that killed mortals but strengthened spirits. Ngozi stepped forward. The flowers opened as she passed, their scent like honey and fire. She stumbled once, cried out, but kept walking. At the hill's peak, she collapsed, breathless. The sages bowed. "It is true. The moon accepts the child. You are no longer only of this world. As Ngozi returned from the Hill of Flowers, she was not alone. A figure followed her, unseen by others but sensed in every shadow. The hunter of balance had arrived. It was said to be neither man nor spirit, but something forged from the pact between sky and earth, a being tasked with destroying anything that tipped the scales between the realms. That night, Ngozi's dreams shattered into pieces. In one fragment, the hunter stood over her with a spear made of midnight, ready to pierce her womb. In another, it wept, laying its weapon at her feet. She awoke sweating, breathless, and afraid. She didn't know what would tip the balance, her life, her child's, or something worse. But she knew one thing: the hunter would come soon, and she had to be ready. Fearing for her unborn child, Ngozi sought out the griot of forgotten songs, an old man who lived in a cave behind the waterfall. He was blind but saw more than most. She begged him for protection, for power, for knowledge. He taught her a song, no melody, no rhythm, just a sequence of ancient tones that once summoned the guardians of her ancestors. Sing this only when the stars vanish, he warned. And only if your child calls to the dead. As Ngozi walked home, she felt Nkiru's star. You will never be alone, the voice whispered within her. I have many names in many worlds. And they will all remember you. The sky turned dark days earlier than expected. The elders panicked. The oracle's warning had come too soon. As the moon began to eat the sun, the people gathered around Ngozi's hut in fear and awe. Her contractions began just as the light vanished. The village sang old prayers, but nothing stopped the pain. Ngozi screamed not just from agony, but from the flood of visions, mountains splitting, seas drying, stars falling. Then a stillness fell. Her child was crowning. The moon hovered directly above her. Mama Is tried to cover the newborn's face, but it was too late. The moon and child saw each other, and the earth trembled. Nkiru was born in silence. The baby did not cry but opened glowing eyes and reached toward the sky. A gust of wind tore through the village, ripping roofs of huts, shaking trees to their roots. Then, just as suddenly, all went still. Ngozi looked into her child's face and felt tears fall. Nkiru looked human, but something deeper lived in those eyes. Something watching. Something remembering. The villagers fell to their knees. They didn't know if they were praying or begging. Nkiru could once, then the crescent mark on Ngozi's belly faded into nothing. Word of the moonchild spread quickly. From distant kingdoms, emissaries arrived bearing gifts, questions, and weapons. One morning, the great river Uluma, which had flowed since the world was born, stopped moving. Fishermen screamed. Crops withered. The river god's shrine cracked open, revealing an ancient warning: when the river pauses, the bridge between realms is open. That night, Nkiru crawled to the riverbank. As Ngozi watched in horror, the baby touched the water, and it began to flow backward. Spirits rose like mist from its surface, wailing in joy or warning. A silver chariot descended from the sky. From it stepped an envoy of the Moon King himself, clad in robes of stardust and silence. He bowed to Ngozi. The child is claimed, he said. By right of blood and covenant. The Moon King demands its return. Ngozi held Nkiru tighter. She is mine. The envoy's smile faltered. You are brave, immortal. But this child does not belong in your world. She is the seed of what is to come. If she stays, the balance may shatter. Ngozi did not answer. But that night, she began to prepare for war. To prove she was worthy to keep Nkiru, Ngozi underwent the trial of the three fires, one of soul, one of flesh, and one of spirit. The first fire showed her greatest fear, losing Nkiru to the void of the stars. She stood firm. The second fire burned her skin but left her womb untouched. She did not scream. The third fire whispered secrets of her past lives, how she had once danced on moonlight, once drowned in the sky, once cradled the sun. She emerged glowing, not with burns, but with silver light. The gods did not take her child that night. But power always draws power. From the dark hills came beings no one had seen in ages, creatures made of shadow and memory. They sought Nkiru, not to kill, but to worship. They called her the end and the beginning. The hunter of balance returned, this time not alone. He brought others, guardians of flame, dust, bone, and storm. Ngozi stood between the two sides, her child in her arms. No more balance, she said. No more war. The child chooses. And Nkiru, not yet a year old, opened her mouth and spoke, let the realms become one. The stars blinked. The wind stopped. The land cracked, but did not break. A light spilled from Nkiru's eyes, enveloping the village, the forest, the rivers, the sky. Spirits and mortals alike stood together as walls between realms dissolved. Time folded like cloth. Mountains whispered to clouds. In that moment, everything remembered everything. When the light faded, the world was still whole, but changed. Children were born with silver eyes. Dreams became doors. The sun sang in the morning. Nkiru slept for 7 days. Years passed. Ngozi raised Nkiru at the edge of the dreaming hills. People came to learn, to heal, to dream. Some called Nkiru goddess, others monster, but she answered only to her mother. Ngozi aged, as humans do. Nkiru did not. One day, as Ngozi's last breath drifted skyward, Nkiru wept for the first time. From her tears, flowers bloomed that sang under moonlight. The moon's seed had blossomed, not into destruction, but into a new world. And her story was only beginning. Thank you so much for watching this story. If you felt the magic, the mystery, or even a little chill in your spine, drop a comment below. I'd love to hear what you think. Don't forget to like the video, and if you want more powerful stories like this one, hit that subscribe button and join our storytelling family. There's so much more to come, and trust me, you don't want to miss it.